Hi, my name's Steven Little. I drive a 1971 Camaro called the Kraken, and this is how I street. I didn't look at the camera. I know, right? I looked away. I don't know if I need to do it again.
No, you're good. I got a few.
Yeah. Oh shit, we got 3 cameras over here.
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right, man. So, give us a small background about yourself. You know, where you're from, where you grew up, where you live currently.
So I was born down in Brownsville, and we moved up to Austin, Texas, where I've lived pretty much the whole time. Recently moved out to Taylor, out in the country out here, and this is, I don't know. I'm not good about the background shit.
This is your little spot right here.
Yeah, so we're out in Taylor. We got a little shop out here. We started racing about 2-3 years ago, and pretty much just trying to go faster and faster in the streets.
Okay, so what initially got you into working on cars or tinkering with them, and you know, got you into racing at, you know, the very beginning?
So ever since we moved here, I was probably 8-9 years old. It's been a family tradition to meet every year at the Spring Nationals over in Baytown. And every year we'd go, there'd be an RV there, and it would be a whole family gathering. You know, so pretty early on, I was exposed to drag racing. No one actually raced, but we were exposed to it really early on, and just kind of got that hook on, you know, the nitro and the rubber and everything else. That kind of established it there.
So you and your family would just go out and watch the races in Baytown?
Yeah. So we'd get an RV spot, and it was my uncles actually. They would go out there, and pretty much the whole family, my uncles, my dad, but pretty much the whole family, not just my immediate family, but cousins, and it was just a whole gathering. It was a lot more fun back then. You could ride dirt bikes in the pits and bar stools and, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. Now it's a little bit different, but still a lot of fun.
Okay, that sounds really cool, actually. Sounds like a party, man.
Yeah, no, there's a party, now they call it the zoo. It's like there was an old circle track thing, because they don't allow really a whole lot on the actual, you know, in the pits and all that. And so there's like this RV park where they basically go in a circle, and you see fucking Jeeps with cages on top with stripper poles, just all kinds of crazy shit. You know, golf carts with fucking 1071 blowers on them. There's like kids driving around like 350 bar stools, like, you know, it's fucking crazy. And anything that you could think of, you know, they're driving around and just getting fucked up. There's Mardi Gras beads getting thrown around for not sure why. No, you know why. But a little bit of that going on. It was interesting, or it is interesting. They still do it, but it's a lot of fun.
And that's in Baytown?
That's in Baytown. Yeah, I think they closed down now though. I think there's some other places that might kind of have that same stuff going on. But
Nah, we might have to put one together, dude.
yeah, right. Yeah, they call it the zoo. So, but, yeah, exposed to that really early on. And then you know, as a kid, we'd be right on the sidelines, and so as soon as something would blow up, we'd jump the fence, and we'd have to go run and try to get the part before we got, you know, by the officials. They'd come stop us. So we'd get blower belts, and we'd have like hot metal shit bouncing it back and forth, trying
like
to get
a
away
piñata,
before they
dude.
caught you.
Damn, that's hella cool. That's some dope memories. So, and then you did that for how long? Till how?
We just stopped last
forever?
year,
Yeah.
so
Oh, okay.
I mean, pretty much every year, and
And you said you didn't start racing until 2 or 3 years ago?
yeah, about 3 years ago, I think now.
Okay. So whenever you started racing, what did you start off with?
So pretty much ever since I was a kid, whatever it was that I had, I'd try to soup up. I mean, I had a go-kart, and there was these little nitrous like CO2 things. I don't know how many I went through. It would just like instantly, like we'd race other go-karts in the neighborhood, and it would just instantly float the valves. So we would we'd try to find the right washer to try to shim the valve springs up and do whatever we could to just be the fastest go-kart. And but yeah, I pretty much just did all my own work on my cars. I didn't really have anything that was fast till, you know, I had something. I bought a CTSV, just a 2005.
V1.
Yeah, well, I had like Corvettes and things like that, but they were all piles of junk. And so, but this was like the first couple of Mustangs, like 5.0s, but you know how those run. So I got my first LS, and got invited out to some street races, and it was the craziest thing. Like, it was a little bit different. So it was like, I guess, a roll racing meet I didn't know about. This guy, Chris Calabrese, was putting it together. And these guys would go on the toll road and just stop in the middle of the toll road. And like they're sitting in their cars just blaring their horns, like, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on right now? There's like 20 cars. And I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like, this is a bad idea. And so we race, and then instantly cops. And so I hit an exit. We go and we park. It was kind of a funny deal because we were sitting there parked, and a cop rolled up. And my buddy's name was his last name was Councilman, and he goes, "Councilman, get the fuck out of here! You know, like, what are you doing here?" And so I guess that got back to the meet spot, and so everyone basically thought it was, I guess, a cop at this point, and there was people yelling in my faces. That was a pretty interesting time, and I'm like, I don't even think I had a driver's license at the time. But the funny thing about that story is the cop that was like, "What are you doing here?" He was actually looking for like a runaway kid. He wasn't even there for the racing.
Oh, okay.
And so he like hit us with the spotlight because we were like creepily on a bridge, you know?
Yeah.
And so they kicked me out of that group for a while, claiming I was a cop. And so then I took revenge on them. No, not really. So a few years went by. I got rid of that car. I built a little Chevy Colorado shop truck, something I could take to work. It had a camper shell on it. And so I could drive it to work and hot rod it, whatever else. And I got a turbo on it. And then I got in touch with my friend that originally got me in touch with the people that thought I was a cop. And and this was, 5 years later? What was it, Calabrese?
Like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, so 3 or 4 years later, I show back up to Colorado, and they kind of have their stuff together now. You know, they're not racing on the toll road. They have actual spots that they're drag racing at, and I didn't tell anybody or who they thought I was. And so we went out, and the truck did decent, and that was a pretty interesting experience. We were like dead center of the city, and I think the first car I saw was the Money Magnet and Blueberry, some old school cars.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're familiar, it was like an 870, whatever. It's a blown fucking big block with zoomies, and we're in the middle of the city. It's methanol burning, like, it was just insane. Like, and I'm like looking around, like, when those helicopters gonna show up? Like, like, this is crazy. Like, how is this happening right now? And so, I mean, but yeah, and then like 2 of the loudest cars around at the time, doing burnouts, 8th mile burnouts mostly, and yeah, just seeing that, and then kind of getting my feet wet on like where I was at in the car, and I got an idea of like where I stood with the truck, and I quickly realized I did not have the right vehicle for this stuff, just because it was it was so heavy, and I was racing. There's some chassis cars there and things like that, but I continued to soup it up, put a forged motor in it, had a few transmission issues, things like that, and I finally lined it out and was able to they have a top 10 list here in Austin, and so I was able to work my way up that, which took a long time, and not necessarily because of the speed of the truck, but they have like spot blocking, and there was like kind of like that crap on TV except worse. No, it's not that bad. No, but you couldn't show, someone didn't show up, you couldn't race, and you had to wait for the next week, or things like that, and people have jobs and lives and things like so. But yeah, I was able to finally make it to number 1, but I wasn't there for long, and then I pulled the truck off, and then got this car.
Wait, so how old were you when you got the truck?
Fuck, how old am I now? I don't know. When was that, Calabrese?
No, 20.
So I got the truck around 2017. It had the LS1, and someone had swapped the LS1 on a 4060, and I put a turbo kit on it, just myself in the garage. Instantly blew the transmission. The first hit, I was racing like a Supra or something, and instantly blew the transmission. Put a 4L80 in it, 8.8, and I think I quit driving that around 19.
So you drove it for like 2 years?
No, it wasn't even 17. 2 years? I had the thing for 2 years? 2020.
Oh, so 3 years?
Edit that.
Yeah.
No, it's just a 2020. Yeah, so I drove that for a couple years and then transitioned into this thing.
Okay. So your first street race, was it in Austin with the truck? Or actually it was in the
can't say the
CTSV,
names.
right?
Yeah, on the toll road, the
Yeah.
CTSV. That was
Okay.
ridiculous.
Second nom.
So you now worked into the Kraken, but how did you get the Kraken when you first bought it?
Why?
Because it's
Why the Kraken?
What was the name of the Kraken at first? I had a friend of mine, he was buying and selling cars, and he had me pick up a 70-ish, not this one, had me pick up a Camaro, a running Camaro, and then he also bought this one I hadn't seen yet. And I went to drop off this other race car, and they had these big plans. They were trying to basically make money flipping cars. And this thing was a total pile of junk, and when I first got it, and so he was like, oh, we're gonna put the big block in this, and we're gonna do that, and I was like, man, that's like, it was like my favorite Euro car. I really love like the 69 Camaros, but I mean, let's just be honest, they're a little played out. So I saw the car when I went in and dropped it off. I saw it sitting there, and I was like, man, like, I started looking under it, and like the bones of it were pretty decent. I didn't exactly like what they did with like the firewall, and they cut out the floor and whatnot, but I was able to, it didn't make sense for him. He would have had to put so much money into it to actually make money. He wouldn't have made money on it. And so I was like, look, just sell to what you have to me, to a friend of mine. And so I think I bought it from him, whatever it cost plus going to get it. And so he did me a huge favor there. So I bought that. Actually, right after I was still driving the Colorado at the time. I bought it for a pretty good deal. It was all, the cage was, not that it's much better now, but the cage was terrible. And the way that the front suspension was. And so it sat for about a year before I was able to like start working on it.
It was just a roller at the time?
Yeah, just a roller. Pretty much the cage still had a stock suspension for like everything's stock on the front. They did a back half. They did the floor and the tubs. There was no glass, no windows, and the front end. So it was a roller, but with not a whole lot in it.
Yeah. So you let it sit for about a year, and then what was your first setup in the car?
So the car sat for about a year, and I had been going around racing the truck, and I'd been telling people like, yeah, I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna show you guys, right? I'm gonna bring this Camaro out. It's gonna be fast. I'm gonna mess all you guys up. And I did that for about 3 or 4 months, and I'm like, I do not want to be the guy that just talks and doesn't do anything about it, because there's enough of those around here that talk like that. You didn't see me.
He's pretending like he didn't hear that.
So I finally got tired of just looking at it. I mean, getting beat by, the truck just wasn't enough. With the weight that I had to put in it to compete, the truck weighed 4,390, with me in it. It weighed just shy of 4,000 with me in it, and then I added a good bit of weight to make it work. And so finally it was probably 2-3 weeks before my birthday. I built the motor for it. It was a stock 4.8. I basically just refreshed. And I actually built that motor. I wanted to beat the record, the 4.8, the world record for that. And I reached out to a couple people because this wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't the car to do it. It wasn't built right. It wasn't nice. And so I reached out to a couple people like, hey, like I really want to beat this record. I'll just give you the motor at cost, which wasn't a lot. It was a stock junkyard motor. I just need to tune it. And so I reached out to a few people, and they weren't interested, and maybe they didn't think it was going to do what it did. And so finally, it was, I think, 3 weeks before my birthday, and I was just like, I was tired of looking at it. And so I sold pretty much a whole bunch of, everything that I had that was worth money that I didn't need. And I had a friend of mine help me out big time with it, a few friends that helped me throw it together, and we built the car in just, I want to say, it might have been less than 3 weeks.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
So it was just roller. No,
So it was just a
no
roller.
drivetrain, nothing.
Yeah, no drivetrain, nothing. I had the so the motor was it was a long. I had the long block done, and I had the transmission, and I had just bought. No, this all kind of happened in the 3 weeks, I think. And then I bought a torque converter for my buddy. It was actually still in the car, and it had no tunnel. A lot of the floor wasn't there. There was no windows, and so we built it, and we really threw it together. Honestly, I'm surprised some of the stuff's still on there, but like we threw it together, and we made it. I think it fired on my birthday, barely.
That's pretty cool.
And we took it up to my buddy's shop, and I think we just did the final touches on it on my birthday. We spent at Luxury Auto Works working on not a luxury vehicle, and so we got fire at it on my birthday, and then quickly after that was our first street race with it. That was kind of a disaster. So it was a few different things going on. So we got it running. It was either actually running, like driving down the road. I basically threw a bass tune in it, drove it down the road, made like one pull down the highway, and was like, and that's all we had time for. And so we loaded up and we went north to Dallas or DFW, Mexico, and we made one stop on the way, made two very unsuccessful passes, and went to one of those big, cash days down there. And off the trailer, this thing was just. What ended up happening is I put two 38mm wastegates on it that were not big enough. So as soon as it made boost, it made all of the boost. So pretty much on the break-in oil, it was hitting like 35 pounds of boost out of the hole, and I could not control it. And it was driving everywhere. And then just to add to that is the steering rack had these like the hard polyurethane bushings in it, and I didn't know this till later. And when those sit, they basically get hard, and then they'll be there, but as soon as you use them, they deteriorate. So my wheels were doing this, and I was driving the crap out of this car. There was no windshield, there was no windows, not much floor, no hood, and the wastegate was actually pointed up. So the first pass, I think I went to the semifinals. The first pass, this wastegate just blows open, and I don't have my visor up. And I'm like getting hit, I'm sideways, getting hit with like rust from the shitty welds, like from the wastegate opening. I'm like driving it, I'm slapping this thing down, I'm trying to shift it. The shift light's just on the whole fucking time. And I barely beat the guy by like a bumper or a headlight. And then we made it all the way to the semifinals. Or no, was it the final? The semi. We made it to the semifinals, and the car. Yeah, the semifinals of 29 cars, and we. I had a drive-by-wire throttle body, so I kind of started getting it figured out. I started limiting to where the throttle wouldn't open all the way. So I was basically like a throttle stop to try to control it, and I finally figured that out. Well, in the semifinals, something interesting about the Holly. Anyways, I hit boost. What was it? I hit boost cut in the burnout, like where it doesn't kill the ignition, but it reverted to the wastegate. And so I backed up, and I went to make my pass. It has to see 0 TPS to reset, and the drive-by-wire never goes to 0 because it has to idle. Yeah, so it never reset. So I like get on the brake, and I'm like, it's like it didn't make any power, and I think I turned into like the first driveway. Like it was, we had the car to win it, which would have been insane. It just had these like all these weird issues, and I had to drive I have to find some of those videos. That car was all over the place.
Yeah, if you can find some, send them to me.
Yeah, because you saw like when the wheels would come up, they'd hit the ground and like shake like this, because the rack was so jacked up.
Damn, that would have been insane if you would have won the whole thing.
So I definitely think I put some people in Texas on notice then, and then just slowly started chipping away at it, like upgrading parts, and getting faster, and trying to get better. And I put a windshield in it eventually.
You still went to a race and won without a windshield, didn't you?
A lot of them. Like we kind of hit the ground running. I basically just tried to hit every single race I could get to, and I don't know how many I won without the windshield, we put the windshield in, and I probably won like 6 or 7 races before I had windows. Like I didn't have a back window, and I didn't have the side windows. I actually bought a back window, but I didn't want to put it in because I didn't have side windows. I didn't know if it'd blow it out.
Oh yeah.
So I just ran with a front windshield for a while, like 6 months or something. And so I would just run it. Like I wasn't able to go I wasn't able to really test at any tracks or anything like that, or race at any track. So I just kind of caped in the street because they wouldn't let me run without windows. And so we did pretty good. I think I got like 6 or 7 wins in like the first like year that I got it going, and that kind of kicked it off. And then like as I'd win money, I'd upgrade the shocks, whatever. The power plant stayed the same for a little over a year, just a 4.8.
The same 4.8. So that first 4.8 you ever put in it, you went on to chase a record. That's right?
Yeah. So I went and I
put windows in it,
I remember what happened. I think I had I had windows in the car. And I just went to do, try the radials, because I knew that I ran radials on the truck in the street because it's just faster. I tried to squeeze every ounce of power out of it, and so having no slip was an advantage if you could get the tires to work. And so I put radials on it in San Antonio with my buddy Trevor just to see what it would do, and it went like low 5s, like off the trailer, like on some pretty crappy stuff, and I was like, okay, like this, this is pretty cool. So, like I was like, maybe I can do that with this car. And so then I went to, it was kind of a long journey. And then I went to HMP, and one of those places I shouldn't have been, like a bunch of radial races, Texas Radial Roundup, I think. And it went like 490s. Like, and I meet my suspension guy there, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And he's like, just put this, and this in it. And he's like, don't worry, it'll be fine. Probably gonna drive left and do a wheelie and this, that, and the other. And sure enough, he's like, just don't touch the steering wheel. And sure enough, like it went up, it went left. I didn't touch the steering wheel, went down, and it made, I think it was like 492, and it wasn't quite the record. And then we ended up going just a couple rounds, and then that's when we found the drive-by-wire issue, is the gear strip out. So I did a wheelie and I pedaled it like twice, and it just no throttle. And so I lost that race, and then battled some issues with ECUs. And then, let's see, what was the next outing? Where did I break the record? Oh, so we went, so that was like the taste of it. Like, hey, wait, hold on a second, because the record was 480 something. 480, I can't remember what it was at the time. And so I was like, hey, like I could actually beat this record. Like, it's possible, even with the weight bias and the motor in the wrong place and everything wrong about the car, being heavy and not set up for radials at all. So I was convinced, I was trying to go to XRP. There was this big race going on, this hood-to-hood something at the Texas Motor, I can't remember the name of it. Was it HMP? Not HMP, not XRP, what's the other one? The Texas something? Texas Motorplex. Yeah, so Texas Motorplex, and my buddy Richie and Dylan that helped with the car, I was like, hey, like, why don't we go to XRP? Like, I don't want to go where everybody's at. Like, I just want to break this record, and that's it. And so I get there, finally they convinced me, hey, everybody's here, we're here, just come over. They finally convinced me to get there, and I didn't know they had this plan the whole time. There's this race called Little Hitters, and they're like, you just need to get in this race. And I was like, I don't want to get in a race. I just want to try to beat the record. And then I start realizing, like, there's not a lot of time to test in between the classes. So if I paid the $200, I would, I'd get more passes in. So I was like, okay, like, that works. And so I get in this class,
And race too, right?
Yeah, and race for the money. But like, I didn't think I had any for like the cars that were in it. And so we end up going, and I think we went like we broke the record actually in testing, 482 at like 147. And we had like a lot of power out of the 60 foot, like because it was just trying to wheelie, because it's not for radial racing. And so first round comes around, and we were out of fuel pump, we were out of a lot of stuff, out of injector, fuel pump, and so we were like, okay, it'll go 480s, like, let's just leave it there. And so we went like 7 rounds. I can't remember the car count. I think it was like up 30 or 40 cars, like, it was a lot, because the payout was almost 10 grand. And so anyway, yeah, we worked the way through the field, and we gapped some people, we barely won some, and it was just our night to race. And that caused a big problem on the internet, I guess.
Yeah.
Because they said that I snuck in the class and beat them all. Like, I guess it was like a spirit of the class. Like it was an invitation only. Like, you had to run about 5:0. I don't know how they filtered the people, but like I told them when I ran, I was like, I've been 490. I think it was 498. I was like, that's the fastest the car's ever been. I'm gonna try to go faster. And he's like, okay, that's what everybody else runs. You know, and a lot of these races were like by fenders. You know, fenders or doors. It was just barely, you know, winning. And so it caused a lot of commotion on the internet. They're which kind of backfired, which is pretty funny because for a stock 4.8 liter with screwed on, or not even with drag lights on a piece of junk, like goes in there and beats up. Oh, because somebody said the guy snuck in and beat our top 4 nitrous cars. And I was like, wow, that's embarrassing. Like, my stock motor just ran over your 4 best nitrous cars. So I was like, you just shot yourself there. So that was pretty interesting. It went on for a while. I think some people are still upset about it. But, I mean, I was invited. So.
Yeah. You were invited by somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally just going to test. And so, anyway, so we beat the record. It was a no-time class. And so, insult to injury, I posted my time. I never posted my time of the actual race. I posted the time of the testing pass, so I was at least respectful enough to do that. I suppose they didn't care. I posted the video and data log of just the testing. I didn't share any times because you know they're all grudge racers. So, but yeah, I guess that's not.
So
They didn't
world
take likely to
record 4.8 for a few months, right? And then I think
Yeah,
Jack
for a few
took it back.
months, Jack took it back. Yep, and his car's a lot better set up for that.
Yeah.
And he really knows what he's doing. So I really didn't try to go after it again just because, I mean, when I changed the car, I lost 200 pounds out of the car, and I knew a lot more. Like, I was out of gear. I was going through the trap at 8,800 RPM, which is not efficient at all. So I changed the gear in the car. I lost 200 pounds, and I could try to break the record or go try to win money. And, like, when you're low on money, like, it's hard, like, beating on your stuff that hard, like, when you don't have another motor to put in it. And so I ended up just kind of staying in the streets and doing the no prep stuff and, you know, trying to win races.
So what was your setup after the 4.8?
So the 4.8, what was it? On my shirt? My record shirt. I had this for a little bit. Oh, yeah. For good old Jack, took it back. 482 with a 7 and 147 mile an hour, boy. Which, so the new setup, it was a little bit secret. Another reason why I didn't go back after the record is I was rebuilding another 4.8 and it was aluminum. It was just to save weight. It was all stock parts. All stock 4.8 stuff, stock 243 heads. I run 1/2-inch head studs, which help. But I had a feeling if I beat the record, he'd be like, oh, well, that's an aluminum block. So even though that motor actually made more power and, of course, was 100 pounds lighter, the chassis was 100 pounds lighter, it was just more beneficial for me at the time, to try to win money. Which I might go back after it again. I don't know. I built a bar on the front to bolt lead to. So I could bolt lead on the front of the bar, on the front of the car to keep it down at the track. And some aero stuff so I don't fly away.
Oh yeah, I see your stuff down here at the bottom.
Yeah, there's gonna be a really cool race on the TV. And why I put that on and it didn't quite work all the way. It might have been wheels up the whole pass.
And while you were chasing the record, you were still out busting motherfuckers on the street.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if they had a race here in Austin, I was there. You know, I tried to just race the biggest, baddest, and I didn't win as much when I was trying to go to the bigger races. But I mean, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. So, you know, going after those bigger races, those faster cars, to, you know, see where you're at in the world and how to improve.
So what's your favorite street race to this day?
Favorite street race? Probably What was New Year's?
On New Year's?
Was it New Year's? Which New Year's? I only won one New Year's, right?
Last one, where you beat Jeff.
No, what was the one that was cold as fuck when I was on radials?
That was an April race where you beat Donkey Gap in the final. Remember I told you to turn it up and you were going to punch me in the face?
Yeah.
Good times.
I think that was probably my favorite race.
When you beat Donkey Gap in the finals?
Yeah. Well, like my favorite individual race or like a race that I went to.
No, just individual race.
That hasn't happened. It hasn't been. I can't disclose that information yet.
Oh, okay.
Actual street race.
Actual street race.
Real street racing.
So the single man, I don't know. I don't know. I know like the like. We'll just go with the race that I went to because there wasn't like an individual race that was the best, but it was a big race we did down here, and I had just put the fuel tech on the car, and it was relatively. I think it was a new motor too. I think it was that new. Yes, it was that brand new motor. I hadn't fired it yet. It was the 4.8, the aluminum 4.8. I just got it running that day. I couldn't get the crank figured out. Like the fuel tech's awesome, but it's way different than Holly. So I was on the phone with the fuel tech support. Like I finally got it fired up, and this is like an hour before. And then like one of the window struts broke on the window, and then we welded it. And then I grabbed it like an idiot, like burnt, like third degree burned my hand, and it was just a disaster. It was yeah. So, anyways, barely get the car running on fuel tech. We hit the road, have a flat, don't have a spare. So we drive this flat-tired trailer to go to steal my buddy's trailer up the road. We bust the lock off of it. We told him about it, of course. We bust the lock off his trailer, leave the broken trailer there, take his trailer, unload the car, load the car, barely make it in time. And I'm on radials. I didn't even have slicks because this was, I think I was out trying to chase the record and blew it up. And so all I had was radials. I didn't have any slicks. So I was like, well, I'm just going to have to figure this shit out real quick. And so, yeah, all of this is happening. I think I was still sick as crap. I don't know if it was COVID or something. I think I was telling people it was COVID so they'd go away. But I don't know if it was COVID or not. And we get there, and I think it was like 30 car field or something. It was a pretty big race. It was like 30 car, 29, 20, 28, 29, 30 sounds better, 75 car. So we get there, and my hand's burnt. Like, I'm like worried about driving. Like, it was pretty bad. And so we can get a zoom in on that weld. It's terrible.
We'll get it. There's probably some skin on there. Dude.
Yeah, probably. So we get there, and like the traction control engages in the burnout. Like, it doesn't even do a burnout. It's like a total pile of shit. Everyone's looking at it like, what's going on? And somehow on the radials, it still made like a pretty good pass. And I think it surprised some people. I was surprised, because I couldn't go back, and there's not two burnouts. And so I was like, well, I hope this shit works. And so it was 60 foot and hard as crap, and then getting kind of loose, backfiring, popping. It sounded like a pissed off nitrous car that a Boomer tuned. And it was because there was ignition. It was terrible. It sounded terrible. And so I get it back, and I'm trying to figure out this new traction control. Second round, I finally do a burnout, and like this thing is gnarly. Like it is, and it was on a fast road, and it was just 60 foot and like hard. And then out the back, it was spinning, which, I thought it was spinning. The traction control was engaging. Well, turns out it was engaging for no reason. You don't find any of this out later because you're in the thick of things. And so, and I made it all the way to the finals, and there was this car, this donkey cap car, and it was like no one could 60 foot with him. Oh, he was the fastest 60 footer around. I don't know. And this leprechaun guy comes over to my door. No, everyone's telling me, oh yeah, man, you better turn it up. Like, you can't 60 foot with this guy. It's not going to happen. Like, well, he's just running their mouths on it. This last guy, I won't say his name, comes into my door, and this is after, and I'll give him some credit. I got told to turn it up about 5 times before he got there, so it's not his fault. And he opens my door and was like, hey man, you better turn it up. And I was just gave him this death stare, like, get out of my door. I don't know if that's actually what I said. I probably said some cuss words, but he was like, turn it up, which he does every time, like that, just like that. Don't be a bitch, turn it up. So, no, so I actually turned it down because DA was getting better. And I think I had about a fender on him, like in the 60. And I out 60-footed him, I out 330'd him. And he was starting to come around me because we were having that popping backfire nitrous problem without nitrous. And he almost, but it wasn't enough. And I think that really comes to light whenever you say favorite race, because literally everything went wrong. Yeah. Like, it was a new motor, a new computer, the wrong tire, and, you know, I think with the good help with a lot of my friends, like, keeping me sane, because, you know, I was, like, on, like, 8 different cough medicines.
Oh, yeah, because you were sick.
Yeah. It was just, yeah, it was a lot, yeah. God, like being sick, burnt hand, like it was just straight chaos, and like it just, just everything went right as far as like just somehow it worked. So I'll take luck any day of the week over skills. I mean, not that it was going slow, it was going fast, but that was probably my favorite race.
Would you consider that your most memorable win as well?
I think. Probably not the most memorable win, I don't think.
So is the most memorable win
No, not that one. I wish. Probably the most memorable win was actually in that same place, and that was on New Year's last year. So 1 year ago exactly. And it was a lot of, I think it was 30 plus cars. 30, not 31. One of the biggest small tire races in Texas. I tell you, the biggest small tire race in America, no, in Texas. So one of the biggest small tire races in Texas, and we went out and tested, and this was a challenging race, and it was interesting. A lot of people came down and tested on that road, and I wasn't going to do it. I'm not the person to go out and test on a road before we race. And I heard that a lot of people from up north and west or whatever, a bunch of people were coming to that road to test before. And I was like, well, fuck that. We're loading up right now, and I'm going to go get data. So I get there. There's a bunch of people there out there getting data. I make like 2 passes down the road, and like everything is just, the car's fucking flying. And I didn't want to smoke the tires for no reason. Like, there's no reason to get any more data. And so, but then the next night or 2 nights later, I think is when we actually raced, it was the biggest small tire race in Texas. And, you know, like Boosted GT was there, Rank was there, a bunch of big names. Limpy came down. I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of people, but those are some important people that, anyway. So, yeah, and then, but the challenge was when we got there the next day, everyone had this great test session at, 70 degrees. Well, it was like 29. Like, it was freezing.
It was not 29. It was hell, dude.
Oh yeah, y'all were there, dude. Okay, yeah. So that was like, it was 29 with a wind chill of 5.
Yeah.
So like, I'm in my coveralls, like, and so I just kind of hid away in my truck. Like, I'd race and jump in the truck, like just try to stay warm. It was cold. So and people didn't realize, like, a lot of things change in the cold. Like, not only does your motor run better, not only does, your transmission fluid act different, your shock fluid, well, it's a secret, I guess people know, shocks don't act the same. Yeah, a lot of things change, like the roads being cold, the tires change, like, the burnouts and things like that. Like, you got to change it up. And so I believe that I had an advantage because I think that I was doing things that other people weren't accounting for. And so pretty much everyone's data went out the window. Yeah. And so, and that one was just the car, like, I think Limpy said in my live feed, like, my first race, he's like, all right, just give him the money. Like, there's ain't no point in racing now. And so, and that was one of the races where everything just went right. Like, everything was perfect. Of course, I had the leprechaun yelling in my ear, turn it up. So I was actually turning I was turning it down all night. So I was turning it down because the air was getting better and better and better, and the car was progressively getting faster. Trying to split the difference and adjusting the suspension. Like I was tuning for a wheelie. I think the first or second pass, like it started doing a power wheelie about 100 feet out, and so we had to tighten it up and turn it, and put some timing, knock some timing out a little bit, just to keep the front end down, because in the street it's not so forgiving. You do a track, a wheelie at the track, like you go relatively straight. The street, like all kinds of things can happen, like depending on if you're in the groove, if there's a crown, like you don't want your wheels in the air. And so you want them on the ground so you can be able to steer and make sure that you're going straight. And so, I think there was a wreck behind me one pass, if it's that same race.
Oh, yeah.
Someone crossed,
there was a few, actually. There was, I forget his name, but that super clean first gen. He went off into that little hill. And then the other guy, I don't know his name either, but he wrecked kind of bad over there in the trees. That F-body.
Yeah, I don't want to mess up his name, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Good, the Stevie J Express. Yeah, he wrecked behind me. So luckily I was out front because he crossed over and messed it up pretty good.
Yeah.
He hit like the worst spot of the curb. Like right where there was like a drainage ditch, there was like a little corner in it.
Yeah.
So luckily he was all right and we were able to continue racing. I think even at that one, there was the cops showed up and like they were like, no, keep going, this is cool. And they were like, I'm pretty sure so I was told they were shooting radar.
Oh, that's right.
On the live feed, and I was like, hey, don't be telling nobody what we're running up there. Because I think I was like 140 plus.
Shit.
And that was the first time ever going that fast. And so we lost a lot of weight in the car with the new motor. And so no, that was just, everything went right. And that was and one of the biggest races, Rank was there, and he had been beating me up in that ICT billet truck, him and Cody, and I just didn't have it figured out, or always, just always having problems. And finally, I'm like, all right, I'm ready now, like let's go. And so when I drew him, he was like, yeah, I'm going 5-0. He's just fucking bullshit. He's trying to lie to me. I was like, and I almost turned it up. I almost did. I was like, no, he's not. He's not going that.
Yeah.
And so I turned it down, and I probably went close to what he probably said he was running.
Yeah.
Which he did not run, judging by the pass. That was no.
I just walked in the conversation.
And so, no, Rank. So I didn't listen to him, and
You didn't listen to Leprechaun?
I didn't listen to Leprechaun. I did not listen to Rank. And I raced the road. I turned it down. The DA dropped. I think it dropped from like 100 to like 1,000, like from round to round. Yeah.
It was negative 2,000.
Yeah, negative 2,000 something in the final. Yeah, it was insane. So like it dropped like a ton, and so it was making it was making good power. So no, we went all the way to the final, and then I think we ended up splitting. We split in the final, and we weren't going to race, and I don't remember what the hell happened.
They brought out a trophy.
I was having a problem. Huh?
Someone brought a trophy, so y'all had to race.
Oh, that's right. So there was a trophy involved, and I was like, whoa, no. Let me go get it real quick to rub it in. Here, go get it. I gotta hold it. All right, do your thing. Let's go, bitch.
Get all the cameras set up. So how,
We're good?
so we're talking about trophy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris brought us the trophy.
So this trophy was supposed to be Uncle Jeff's, but I went up and not forward, and he got beat by Steve. So
I remember that.
Ride a fucking wheelie, right on the bumper.
That was when he drugged the bumper.
Yeah, with this
that was
1
this.
inch fucking wheelie.
That's right.
Well,
I think it might have been 2. Maybe.
We'll just leave this like here.
I'll take it right here.
Oh. The one for tonight's race. Is
How's that look, Jeff?
Chris is like, actually, you know what? We have to take this for tonight.
Nah. I think it says a year on it.
It does.
Trash Days 2022 ATX Dig. There we go.
Right.
So you're right. You were just gonna split because we'd split a few races. We'd be on the same team. So and then we realized there was a trophy, and we're like, all right, let's turn these things around. And I think we parked them on the line, and I went to try to open the door to put the parachute in, and we couldn't get the door open. So that was a fiasco in 20-something degrees. And so we finally had to rig and it took like 3 people to get the door open to get the parachute out to put it in. and I just left the tune alone. I feel like I could have gone faster. I didn't think I needed to. You know, so I just did the same thing from the pass before. I don't think I changed the tune, and it wasn't going slow. So I was able to get the win.
Okay, so do you have a loss that's maybe very memorable?
Oh yeah. So we all went the. Oh no, I don't care about that. It really. So I feel like up to this point, like I'd done pretty good about like not listening to everyone, you know, just race and race the road. And we went up to the baddest whatever of America, in North DFW, Mexico. And a lot of the big names were there. I think 1320 was there videoing. Like there was like I was like, man, this is an important race. Beaterbaum was there. I was like, I'm gonna kick ass. I'm gonna do good. And so we get there and like I'm not on the starting line. I'm trying to get ready because the location, it wasn't really easy to see. And my whole team was, oh my God, you better turn it up. They're going 4s out here. These guys are so fast. And I let that get to me a little bit. I don't think Calabrese was there. Were you there?
I was there. He was there.
Which one was it?
No, Baddest of the Planet or whatever the hell.
Yeah, I was at Baddest of the Planet.
He raced that big blower car in the first round. Fucking dude from.
Yeah, Boosted was there, and so was what's his name?
Who did I race the first round?
Mafia guys raced that Camaro with that like blower.
Oh yeah. So.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so that was pretty good off the trailer. I raced Adam Plunkett, and my car didn't do well, but he, you know, I mean, it did decent. So we made a pass, like everything was good. Ended up having to move spots, and we went to kind of like a 1-lane road. One lane was way faster than the other, and so everyone was just in my ear. Oh, we better turn it up. And like I'm over there trying to run a low 5 on a road that was, no one was going that fast, and so I talked to Casey Max, and I was like, dude, like I don't know what the hell was going on out there, and you know, and he was nice enough to share some information on how fast people were really going, and it was not close to that. Just put it that way. So I'm over there trying to do a radial tune on a street, and I was an absolute idiot. I ended up racing Varney and just completely annihilating the tires, and he beat me. And so from there, I got a little label maker, and I put on the top, "Race the Road, dumbass," on my laptop. And then it says "seriously" on the other side. Like, so just check, like, better fucking race the road. Yeah. So, so I try to just do the best that I could do now. Like that was like a big thing for me, and having that in my face every time my laptop's open. Just like, don't be stupid. Like, don't turn it up because you're racing someone big or someone whatever, because like you're more likely to, in my opinion, you're both more likely to nuke the tires and lose that way. You know, I'd rather lose smoking the tires and not have enough power. I'm like, I don't believe that. I think that's an old way of thinking, and not in the street anyway.
Okay.
So.
Do you have somebody that's maybe your kryptonite, or somebody you just haven't been able to get around?
Not that I could think of. I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of people I haven't been able to race that I would really like to race. But
there's not somebody you've had trouble beating. So who are some of the guys that you would like to race that you haven't been able to yet?
It's weird now because I got invited to the Street Outlaws deal, and a lot of the peoples that I wanted to race just to see where I was at in the world were my teammates now. Oh, okay. So it's like I don't necessarily really care to race them that much anymore. You know what I mean? Like we all work together. Like we share data. Like we know how fast each other are. Later. Oh. All right. Yeah. So a lot of the people, you know, Cali, Nate.
I have a quick question. When you said you raced your first race ever and it went completely garbage, was that what you were talking about in the cash days, or was that a separate race?
No, that was a separate race. Okay. That one was.
You said it was your first race in the car, correct?
The first race in the car, that one was. It was instant boost, all the boost, all like the whole, like. that was no windows. But the race where everything went to shit and I burnt my hand and all that, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, he won
that was after.
Yeah,
that was
later.
after. Yeah. That was like when I just put the fuel tech in and the new motor.
What'd you race on your first race?
First race ever, Brian Witherspoon, the Pornhub Camaro. And he was like, I never saw him. I'm like, well, I saw you. No, he was super cool about it. And like, I can say now, like, sometimes you really don't, you know, if you're out front. I mean, like, I can 99% of the time, like, you can tell when you win, but sometimes it happened to me. Like, I was like, I never saw him. Like, I felt like that idiot. And then I fucking lost. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? They like did that right at the end.
Yeah.
Boop, and so, you know, and so I can usually tell. It's a little harder to track because you're so far apart to tell.
Yeah, on the street you're like.
You're pretty damn close. Yeah, you pretty much know. So, yeah, that was that one. Brian Witherspoon, and he was like, I didn't lose, and they went back to the footage, and it was close. It was close.
I never
But
saw
not
him.
bad for being your first race.
No, it was insane.
That's crazy.
That was like I fucking went sideways and I saw a fucking giant oak tree and I was like, nope. And it straightened out. Yup. I got back in it, and then whoop, right at the end, just got him right at the end. And I was like, I really need to lift. And I was like, well, we're straight again. Like, I was like, I think I could hit it one more time.
Yeah.
And
It was a race.
oh, it was a race. Yeah, I drove the shit out of it. Yeah, because it was like a crappy asphalt, or I don't know if it was concrete. It was not a good road. And so, man, I want to look at that video again. I think it's Limpy has it. Somebody's got a video.
Somebody's got to have it. We'll figure it out.
That'd be cool.
Find it too.
So, what were we talking about?
But we were talking about the guys that you wanted to race for a while, but then you ended up being
Yeah,
teammates.
so, you know, Callie, Nate, Rank. Well, I raced Rank. You know, Beaterbaum. Who else? You know, a few of those guys. You know, Stefan. I think all the team members. But anyway, yeah, a lot of those guys, like or Ryan Mitchell. Yeah, because we raced. First time I raced him, that was an interesting race. I fucking knew I had nothing for him, but I had the pizza truck, and so the truck had a pizza thing on it.
Oh, so that was the pizza
Yeah,
truck?
the pizza truck. Yeah, the Domino's truck. I still got the sign over there. Yeah, I didn't sell it with the sign. So I call him out first round in the group chat for like $5, and just to call him out first round, and like there was some controversy on the tree, and so basically what happened is the guy locked him in and went to me before, or he never locked him in.
Oh, okay.
And so, and I actually saw it happen in front of me. I saw that he didn't lock him in, and so I'd raced with this flagger a lot, so I knew it was going to happen. So I actually intentionally waited on the brake. Like I got on the brake and I looked at his car and I waited until it was on the two-step, and then I bumped in, which I actually screwed up because then I built too much boost. But like I waited for him to two-step, get on the two-step, light came on, we both left. And so he wanted to rerun it. Well, I did not want to rerun it. I'm like, I got lucky once. I don't know if I was going to get lucky twice. And so I basically was like, I said, did we leave at the same time? Which he looked at the video and it was yes. I said, did you leave on boost? And then it was yes. And I was like, well, I don't know what else. No, I'm scared of you, you know?
Yeah, no. I don't know if I can do it again.
So, but if it would have been like if I would have jumped way out on him, or like something like that would have happened, like I would have reran it. But we both left like same time. So
no rerun.
And the fact that I knew what was happening, and I intentionally like waited for him to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because if you don't.
And then you can see in the video, I'm like, I was looking at the flagger and I turned and looked at his car, and I was like, see, look, I told you what I said. I did.
So you beat him the first time you ever raced him.
And I didn't have the domino sign on it, but I had like this red rag out of the gas tank. So the first time I raced him there, and then I think I raced him one other time, maybe two. Somewhat really like last year or something, and it wasn't my day that day. We had some good roads that we were gonna race on. That would have been a really good race. And then we went to a road that was not the best. Well, it was not even, in my opinion.
The lanes?
Yeah, not even close. Yeah. Everyone goes and tests in one lane because it's nice and flat and smooth. So they test in the other one. No, like on the right side, there's like two different set of marks because like one and then one drives into the other one.
Have we been there?
The dip on the right lane sounds.
Yeah.
Is what it's called. I don't know if you're supposed to say that or not.
No, I'll just leave this out. Yeah.
But it's like one of the fastest roads in the left lane, and then a shit fucking road in the right.
Oh no, the one I'm thinking about is the other one, where the right lane's better.
Yes. Yeah, that was the one where I raced Barney in.
Yeah.
So pretty much after that, when I didn't want to make excuses or whatever else, like he straight ran out of my life. I didn't actually go that slow for that lane, but he made me look slow.
Yeah.
Gapping me, but. So we raced then, and I kind of stayed away from that part of Mexico still now. I haven't been back.
Oh, okay.
Just because of their selection and where to go. So.
Yeah. Would you?
I don't want a better lane. I don't want any advantage. I just want a fair race.
The same lane.
Yeah. Or like attempting to. Like when you know something's not fair, you don't go there.
Yeah. Yep.
Like I don't care. You don't go there.
Yeah.
Put it this way, it was bad enough that Limpy himself wanted to prep the right lane because he knew
how much more it sucked.
Yeah, and I have never heard those words come out of his mouth, ever. And I'm like, you just said what? We're gonna Cali prep this motherfucker? Like, I was like, great, because I'm in the right lane, so that coming out of his mouth, I was like, well, I'm fucked. Because if it's really, I had never been there, and I was like, but I knew I've heard of it.
Yeah.
So I just quit going there for a while. Okay. But yeah, a lot of those guys, like even before I went to be on a team with them, like they helped me out a lot.
That's cool.
Just little things like sometimes like when you're racing and like you don't know where you're at in the world. Like, am I doing this right? Am I doing it wrong? Beating your head against the wall, like it helps like to have someone like those guys. Just be like, no, like you're doing good, like keep going, like giving you that boost of confidence or whatever, like when you're not think you're doing good, because I went through a spell where I wasn't really winning that often, and it was just beating myself. So
yeah, I guess
having that soundboard is helpful, really helpful.
Part of it too, I guess that's where you learn a lot and losing, right?
For sure. Yeah, I got back from Vegas, and then Jeff kicked my ass on the first road we went to. And I was like, well, I kicked my own ass, but I was like, yeah, just when I thought I had stuff figured out, like, nope, you better go back to the drawing board. And that's, like right now, like the what I have set up here is totally different than it was a week ago.
Shit.
The weight's different, the shocks are different, the angles are different. Not that I have that many, it's a ladder bar.
Yeah.
I have like 3 options. Like street,
different.
kind of street, track-ish, no prep, and then track. Got 3 options. So I don't have 85 holes to mess up in, so there's that. But yeah, so you're constantly trying to get faster and faster and faster because someone else is going to do the same thing. Try to stay front. Yeah, because it's crazy how fast people are going on the streets, and so. Going and racing on the show, like I learned a lot. Basically you're stuck out in the desert with like nothing to do.
Yeah.
But figure your fucking car out. Like you start learning shit about it. And it's not so much about learning from other people as you spend a lot of time with your car. Like I did this in the middle of the desert, this thing right here.
Yeah.
That helped keep the wheelie down on the finish line, and then the back one helped get traction on the back. And so we went to Home Depot like 8 times.
To make
building some dumb shit, to try to do whatever we could to keep up with,
money.
Yeah, to keep up with those big budgets.
So speaking about how fast everybody's going, what do you think is a number that a car has to run to be decently competitive on the street?
Yeah, man.
Off the trailer.
That's so tough because like.
I guess it depends on the road.
It really depends on if you're not like to get past first round, like let's like we're on asphalt or something. Like if you're not sub 6 seconds, like you can get lucky.
Yeah.
Depending on the surface, right? You can go with 30, a 630 or a 650. You sometimes get lucky, but like in order to be like at the top of the field, like if you're not going sub 6. Or even like on a good road, like deeper than that, even on asphalt, it's insane. Like what we were going 2 years ago on concrete, we're doing that on asphalt now.
Yeah.
So like a 550 on concrete used to be like, hell yeah, like you were making it to the final and probably winning. That's not the case anymore. So if that gives you a number, like if you don't, there's people that go that fast on asphalt. Or faster. So it's just really changing the game, And so with this setup too, like it's a forged motor, forged 5.3 now, nothing really special. You got ice heads. They're like custom heads that are built for what I do, and this thing,
Yeah.
now we can go faster on the big end. So
Purpose built, yeah.
Yeah, sort of. I mean,
kind of.
This is the cheapest shit.
The motor is.
It's like 90% China now. We took out the American stuff and put some Chinese parts, and so we're in the right direction.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, no, this it's making some steam, and so like and yeah, and like I guess the drive to try to be the fastest and trying to go on those shows, like the fastest in America show, like I wasn't chasing the TV cameras or whatever else. Like I want to go and compete at the highest level, and if that's the next step, that's the next step.
Yeah.
And so, or for me anyway, it costing a lot of money actually, but it's expensive to be gone for a month and live in a trailer. That was interesting.
So what's going through your mind when you're pulling up to the starting line?
Man, just that kind of just making sure everything's right, and like at this point, it's kind of muscle memory. You rely on your teammates or whoever's who's helping you. Now I have the nitrous on the car, so making sure the nitrous is on. Like I have a routine now.
Yeah.
And so the bottle's on. I put my hat on the bottle. That means it's on.
Okay.
Sometimes it flies to the back, but put the hat on the bottle, and then I have a valve, and just make sure all my switches are on. Like everything's good. Did I check tire pressure? Is the bottle full? I have a few buttons, like a burnout button and stuff on the computer, and just making sure like everything's right. Just like everything's ready to go, like I'm buckled, everything's good, like my helmet, like I'll check and make sure my restraints are in, my gloves are on. It's really just kind of like a routine.
Yeah. So that's
and then just like you did everything you're supposed to do, now we just got to do it.
Focus.
Just focus. Don't let any doubt go through your head. Just drive.
Yeah.
Just drive. Sometimes I do that. Like if I know it's gonna wheelie, because like sometimes you'll just be like, it's so weird, like because you do it so much, it's like you're kind of used to being out of control. And so like I remember when I was in Vegas, we were testing, and Nate was like, "What the fuck's wrong with your car?" And like it's all over the place, and I was like, well, I wasn't really trying to keep it straight. Like I wasn't racing anybody.
Yeah.
And so, and he's like, "Well, get that shit under control." Like, and I was like, okay. So like that one, I've developed a new technique. I'm like, I go up to the line, I'm getting ready. I was like, okay, don't forget to drive. And so now I'm like, now I'm gonna drive it. Like, and not just be like, like. So I do have Nate's voice in my head now. Okay, don't forget to drive.
Yeah.
Or like the other race the other day, it was wheeling at about 100 foot or whatever, or wheeling about 100 foot, and it was like, as soon as the tires touch, drive. But until then, you can't do shit because the wheels aren't touching the ground.
Come back up.
So just little things like that, like what you expect to happen, and just try to prepare for what it is. If it knocks the tires off, pedal it, whatever. Just kind of go through like the motions of like where you're gonna be, and like how the run's gonna go. Like you predicted everything that's gonna happen, and everything has its hazards, like different roads and things like that, like the big end, whatever. Like if you've made a pass there before, or you don't, or if it veers right or left, or watch out for the curb. Whatever. Yeah. Just try to envision the run, and then when it doesn't go right, just drive.
Hell yeah. So how do you manage, regular everyday life and racing so much?
Holy moly. That is
being gone for a whole month.
That's the question right there, man. It's tough. Like it puts a strain on my wife, on my family, and like you have to, like, in order to push the limits and do this, like you have to sacrifice a lot. I mean, it's tough. Yeah, it's not for everybody. I mean, like I don't know. But yeah, it puts a strain on the family, like, racing. I mean, just the other day, like, I raced, not because I was wanting to go racing. Like, I didn't have money for Christmas presents. Like, no bullshit. Like, and I was like, I need to race and I need to win so I can buy Christmas presents. and it sucked because, like, I met a guy in the semifinals. There was 3 left, and he was like, "Hey man, my car's broke. Like, you think you want to split it 3 ways?" Like, and normally, like, that would have been an option. His track wishbone broke, and I was like, "Man, I need this money." I don't think $500 is not going to buy my Christmas present, like the Christmas presents I need to buy for my employee and things like that. And so I didn't split with him and like ended up winning it, and like I bought fucking Christmas presents. And like I think that some people don't really know that type of struggle from the outside looking in. And you know, because I'm pretty busy in my own head and busy around, and like people don't see a lot of that, you know, that sort of thing, and like the sacrifices you make. They just see your wins, and then they don't know how you got there. So no, it's definitely tough, and like trying to balance, because I mean there's a couple different sides of things, like you know, what is our financing doing, like how much is it going to cost to get to the race, stuff like that. And so, you know, some of it's like, hey, we need to win some money, like we need to, you know, what's the probability of winning, things like that. How far do we have to go to get there? You know, like this one was at Little River, so like 30 minutes away. It wasn't the cost to put in, it was not enough, or it wasn't too much. So balancing that in there and having that justification, I guess.
Yeah.
So, you know, it kind of puts a pressure that's not always fun, you know, on races. And just balancing that, like trying to work. Like I own my own business, but like my business straight up, I can't lie. Like the numbers, like as soon as I started racing, like
it's just
you know what I mean? Yeah. And now we're just kind of like hovering right above the ground. We haven't crashed, but we're going no. So we're doing okay. This freeze that we did good. I do flood remediation. So like houses flood, we go in there and dry it out. So this freeze is really going to help us for next year, because we got a ton of jobs. So but yeah, like the work, the wife, the kids, and then I have kids with my ex, and like dealing with that, and traveling is just super tough. And you know, when you have your own business, you can't work. You know, I don't make any money when I'm gone for a month.
Yeah.
So not only do I have to have the money to travel, I have the money to support my
your family.
Yeah, my family while I'm there, which this year we barely scraped by. In that last race, we got presents. So you know, anyway, yeah. So that's a tough question there.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful to have an awesome wife that really takes care of me, stands by my side, and supports me even when she doesn't want to.
That's awesome, man. All right, so what advice do you have for people that are getting started in this sport?
Advice. Honestly, the biggest advice I can get, I mean, because there's so many little things, right? And I think the biggest thing is to just go out there and do it. Like, there's so much value in getting out there and trying, and like there's so many people that have these cars, oh, it's almost done, it's this, it's that, what runs, but it's not. Like, just get out there, you know, and see where you're at, like see what your capabilities are, and if you want to do this, like depending on your drive, like just get out there and do it. And so like a lot of that was like my own advice that I took for myself is like I wanted to, like, this was going to be like my car, like my race car, like I'm going to have this built motor, I'm going to do this, and then finally, you know, just fuck it, like I'm tired of looking at it. Yeah. And so
you just
if I would have waited to have a forged motor, to have whatever, right, I wouldn't have a finished car, or the best shocks, or the best this, or it wouldn't happen, and I wouldn't have the experience that I had. And so, you know, getting out there and with what you have now, I think is the most important thing, and experience. You know, I can't tell you how many racers I've seen, like cars that I've seen that were 1,000% capable of annihilating the whole field, and the driver didn't know what they're doing. You know, so it's not it's a lot of the car, obviously, but like the tuner, the driver, like that, and especially in the street, like that's what it comes down to, and having that experience and like knowing what to do when things happen. And that's invaluable. Like that's probably the best thing, is just get out there, and if you love it and you want to do it, then do it.
Yeah. Some good advice, man.
Yeah.
I have to take that for myself.
Yeah. I probably could have said it better than that, but
no, it's legit.
Yeah. And don't run a carburetor. No, carburetors are all right.
Or nitrous.
Fuel injection, yeah. Just
well, you got nitrous.
Okay, so get an LS, get a turbo, and a Fox body.
Yeah.
And you're ahead. No.
Yeah.
So, and a Powerglide. I'm not a fan of Fox bodies just because there's so many.
Yeah, me either.
But no, I mean that's one of the things, because if I could think of like the number one thing that hold people back is themselves.
Yeah.
So, have courage, like if you love it, do it. And don't be scared. Like,
hell yeah.
You're going to get knocked down, you're going to fail, things are going to happen, and just keep moving.
So what are the updated details on the car as far as motor, turbos? See, you got some nitrous going.
Yeah, so we have the same torque converter somehow, $500 from my buddy Tommy Mars. He bought it for $500. He tried to buy it back. I'm like, no, you can't have it. I'm sorry, the ship has sailed. So we ended up going to a freak show transmission. Really because the other one I was afraid it was going to explode. It was a stock case Power Glide, and so I bought that one because I didn't have a floor. So it's just a fully built like 2,000 plus horsepower freak show transmission pro torque converter that was just working. And then the motor's it's a 5.3, like not bored, like a 5.3, like not just cleaned up the cylinders. Mm-hmm. And then I put like their drop-in pistons. BTR has like this boost piston, the BTR rods, BTR crank, and then the ice racing heads that I had them. So I drilled it for 1/2-inch studs. So it's 1/2-inch studs. So it's basically BTR rotating assembly, Wiseco pistons. They're designed Wiseco pistons, stock 5.3, and then the heads are drilled for 1/2-inch. And then he ported them according to my setup. I don't really know the magic. I don't ask questions, but it works. Mm-hmm. So he ported the heads are ported, and then I have him cut an O-ring in the heads, and we put copper O-rings in there, so that way, and it's just like a regular LS9 gasket with a copper O-ring, and that combined with the 1/2-inch studs, and which is super cool, because like if a problem happens, like they can just ship me another head, because that's the idea of this setup. It's like, what can I do to like prevent, everyone has these custom double O-ring, fire ring, fucking like there's a lot of different combos that are. I basically tried to find the cheapest and simplest way to make a lot of power. Yeah. Without getting into too much detail, but like.
Yeah.
and that the parts are readily available for. If you find a piston that works, that's just a drop in, like it's on the shelf. Like basically it's all shelf parts, and BTR intake. I hand ported the intake to match the heads. So it's just some cheap manifolds. The manifold's been the same the whole time. I had to weld on.
Yeah, I was gonna say
8 times. 18 patches. They're force inductions, 372 turbos, and we went with I changed the frame. It used to have a full factory frame and everything, and I got like it's supposed to be a bolt-in frame, but like whoever did the work on this car just hacked everything up, so I had to splice in. I bought like a factory replacement Camaro frame, and then I just spliced it into the car. Oh, okay. The best way I could, or I figured it out, I guess. And so Smith Racecraft front end, and then all the suspensions 2JM Fab, which like that's another thing advice: buy shocks. Okay. That changed the game. Like early on, like you could be a hero. Like you could have 800 horsepower, but if you can get that fucker to have a 60 foot, like 260, like something crazy, with the suspension and all that, like dude, you can do a lot with suspension. I think a lot of people miss the mark when it comes to that, and so I've had them. Just revalve once. No, I bought bigger shocks for the back for the radial stuff, so they could extend like crazy, and which you'll see if you're still here, because I have to change the wheels. But I bought like their 8-inch shocks in the back, and then I've had them revalve the front just once, just because I was doing more radial racing, and then I went to more street, and so they just tweaked them just a little bit, and 2JM Fab shocks. Those are like, that helps a whole bunch. And then Fuel Tech FT600, that they helped me set up initially, same 2JM Fab. And I basically took it from there, because I didn't know any of the software. I was like, make my Holly tune a Fuel Tech tune. And then I'll see what I can do.
What rear end's in the car?
Oh, it's a 12 bolt.
Oh, okay.
We actually, when we were breaking that record, I bent the axle like over an inch.
Oh shit.
And I noticed the wheel bearing was leaking, and I was like, well, that's not good. So I took it apart, and then we were trying to make a race, and we didn't have a torch. We were gonna try to bend the tubes back straight. So we laid a bar, like an actual bar to like build a rear end on, but we just laid it through the spool just to kind of get a ballpark of where it was at. And so instead of, we didn't have a torch, so we just welded giant beads on the back of the axle and then let it cool and it would move a little bit. So there's like, and then it was so terrible looking. I had this piece of metal that came off my cross member. I put a cap over it.
Over the welds?
Over all the terrible welds. And then you can still see some welds around it. It looks disgusting. So then we did that, and then I welded ports straight to from the little, I guess, triangulated supports to the differential. So I just welded straight to the differential. I didn't take the seals out or anything. It leaks a little now. Oh well.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so I just braced it up a little bit. 12 bolt. We went to a 430 gear because the 456 was just too much. Well, as we started going faster, I didn't have enough RPM, so we're hitting like 9K like frequently.
God damn.
So now it's like 8,600. Sometimes I forget the shift. It doesn't have an air shifter yet.
So why'd you go from, or what were you gonna say?
Oh, I shift it myself. I don't have an air shifter.
No air shifter. So why'd you go from Holley to Fuel Tech?
Man, that's a good question. What am I allowed to say here? Their tech support's terrible. I don't care. Like it is.
Yeah.
So I had a Terminator in the car. I'll try to make it as short as possible.
Yeah.
Had a Terminator in the car, and I had traction control. I had a bunch of stuff it has advanced tables, and so like I knew how. I went through the software. I saw what it had, and I said, okay, well, I can do everything that I need to do with this. Actually, I bought an X Max. So I was reading and the X Max basically allows you to have transmission control, which I didn't use anything, but I put a 40-tooth reluctor with a factory sensor so I could get rear speed, and so I could have enough inputs and outputs before they had the input-output expander. Anyway, so I started having an issue that lost me a lot of money. You know, I lost in the final, like, my front wheel speed sensor would just, it would say like 26,000 miles an hour, literally. And I'm like, and then it would, and I had boost by speed, and so it was just anyway. So I had issues with that. I got in touch with the tech support, and like I literally worked my way all the way up to like the highest dude. And I'm like, look, like I'm having this issue. Like it's not a hardware issue. I went through so many every sensor you could think of. I shielded the wire. I did everything like perfectly. And they were like, oh, it's a software problem. We'll let you know when we fix it. I'm like, what do I do in the meantime? Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. The first question was, you shouldn't be doing that with a Terminator. And I was like, what do you mean you shouldn't do it? Like, you have nitrous, you have all these things, like you have these functions. Like, what do you mean I shouldn't be doing it? I'm doing it exactly how I'm supposed to. So I went through that, and then I went to a Dominator, and they sold me one. It was like the same ATEC price, like, you dick. So whatever. So I get a Dominator and I put it in. Like, they didn't even give me a deal. Like, I was like, I find a whole glitch in your whole program, and yeah, whatever. Anyway, so I got the Dominator, and then I downloaded the V6 software, and it was just nothing but fucking problems. And then just trying to get a hold of the people, I was just like, I'm done with this. And then 2J and Fab had been telling me, like, hey, you probably should switch to Fuel Tech. Like, it's better. So that was my chance. Yeah. So it was awesome. And then insult to injury to Holley, first fucking race I do, I win with the Fuel Tech. So I love Holley. I love tuning Holley. It definitely has, like, I still tune for Holley stuff. It has like a lot of good stuff in there, and like the advanced tables are awesome. Like you can do I can tell, like, you can literally do anything you can think of. It's just not fast enough, in my opinion. Like the processing speeds are just not even close to be, like, if I showed you data logs from one to the other, you'd be like, what is this, a Mac? Or what do they call it back in the day? The little Apple? Yeah. What do they call Macintosh? There you go. This is a Macintosh? That's where they got the processor.
From Macintosh. So I was just curious about that.
No, yeah. And so, yeah, no, I've never looked back. So.
Hell yeah.
I'm still learning it.
All right. So lastly, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank?
I should have wrote this down. Just go to the back of the car. I'd like to think.
Before we do that, we could do do you know how many races you've won on the street total?
I really don't know, to be honest. I need to add that up because I feel like that's an important thing for sponsors. Like 20? I don't know. Probably more than that.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I feel like I haven't raced as much as I wanted to, or like I missed a lot of races. Yeah, for good reason. But yeah, I don't know, 20, 30, I really don't know. I'd have to go back. And the problem is I wear the same thing and all my crew wears the same thing. So when I look at like winning pictures of money, I'm like, wait, is this the same race? Is this a different race? Because I wear the same shit all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll wear different hats for different events. Or put a number. This is number 5. Hey. What are you guys doing?
Hi.
You can come in.
Oh, no, you're okay.
So, yeah, I don't know, like 30, I guess.
It's a solid number.
Not as much as I wanted to, but like just still doing pretty good. Like we struggled for a little bit, like I said, like just chasing different issues. And that's the thing, like with like the Holly versus Fuel Tech question, like when you lose a $10,000 race in the final, you know what I mean?
And what's the ratio, more or less?
Oh, like ratio?
Yeah, like win to loss.
How many races do you think I won, babe?
Wasn't it like 20-something when we calculated it?
That other day, that was like a year ago when we calculated. The other day, you're worse than me.
Pretty good for a year.
No.
No, didn't we just say that you raced like 32 times or something this year and you won 20-something of them?
Maybe. I don't know. So I feel like it's pretty decent. I don't know.
So if it's what she's saying, that's, I don't know, percentage, but that's, for every 30 races, you lost like 5 or 6 of them or something.
That's probably accurate.
Yeah. That's a solid ratio, dude.
Yeah, so, and then like too, like, I don't know if it's that good, but like when you start doing that, like you take a hobby or something you like to do and then you start realizing like, wait a minute, like if I could make a living at this. Like that's kind of where I'm like trying to figure out where that balance is with, life and business and stuff like that. Cause like we made a good amount of money with the car. Like most people can't say that their wins have paid for their car, and it definitely has.
That's pretty cool. Actually,
yeah, that's
interesting for sure.
That's something I never thought possible, But again, like you got to spend money.
To make money.
You got to spend money to make money, and you got to spend money, and you got to keep innovating, and you got to keep trying different things, and you just got to So at this point, it's like almost like a job.
Yeah.
Which is good and bad.
Second job, dude.
Yeah. So I feel like it's pretty good,
All right, so now we just got to talk about who you want to thank and your sponsors.
I'd like to thank my wife first and foremost. None of this would have been possible without her, holding down the fort while I'm gone or even coming with me. The great blessing. She's freaking awesome. It was tough at first, I'm not going to lie, for her to adapt to like the lifestyle. It helped. We got a trailer that we can sleep in now so she can go to sleep. That's when we've been doing more track stuff. The kids can actually come with me. And so, my wife, 2J and Fab, like you heard me talk about, like huge support, like not only like with the suspension and then there's ice racing. That's the same company that does the cylinder heads as well.
Oh, okay.
Justin over there, like we talk like probably more than we talk every day probably, just about different things and like how we can improve, like how we can go faster, and like a big support in that way too. And then tuning help, like when I don't know where something is in the software or like how I can manipulate this or that, just because I'm still new to the fuel tech. And so, them over there, Justin and Josh, I think that's what 2JM means. Justin, because Justin and Josh, and then Minzenmeyer was M, and then Fab. I'm Fab. I think I never asked him, but it seems kind of obvious. Two JMs. They got 2 JMs. Josh Minzenmeyer and Justin. Yeah, so those guys have been a tremendous help. BTR, man, like we've been working with them for a few years now, and so like I started out just having like a commercial account selling parts, and I was building motors. I've been trying all kinds of things to make money for this thing. But started, you know, I was building a lot of motors, working on cars and stuff in the beginning, and I just didn't have enough time for both. But we were just selling parts, and like they helped me, like all the custom cams, springs, things like that. Obviously the rotating assembly, and so you know they've helped a lot in that area as well. So yeah, and then we have, you know, Freak Show I mentioned with the transmission, that things like that hasn't changed since like probably 3 months later, because I didn't have a floor, so I put the reed.
Nice,
it's not even a reed
yeah.
case. It's like whatever the reed. It's not a reed case, but same idea.
The bell housing, right?
Yeah. So like I didn't have time to put a floor in it, and I was like, well, let's put a transmission in so I can keep my toes. So it was just open, and it's funny. I don't have a I would feel it, and I'd be like, all right, it's good to go. Like I'd reach down, no, it's too hot. I need to wait a minute for the next pass. But I got a good gauge of it. And then like when I put a tunnel in, I'm like, oh, I probably need a gauge now. So the transmission. Let's see. My buddy, 8-Town Speed, he lives right up the road from here, and he helps me with a ton of stuff. Like Dylan Laxton, he actually put a floor in the car. He's responsible for that.
Nice.
You know, and we knocked it out. Like, and he'll always get me in like, because I'm always doing shit last minute. You know, like so like he'll be like, oh, all right, I guess it's all go over there and but yeah, just random little things all the time he helps me with. Let's see, who else? Let me go to the back of the car. Nitrous Express.
Yeah, so
Well, they just came on, Nitrous Express, and so like that's been super helpful, because when we went to Las Vegas and raced, the DA was like 6,000, which is nothing like it is here, and so we had issues. We actually put the old tiny turbos back on just for that race, and we still kind of had some trouble spooling. So, you know, we talked to my buddy Chris Rosca about it, and he was like, they hooked me up. But it's just a simple kit, really. It's nothing crazy. I put a big bottle in there just so it lasts a long time. I don't spray that much, but just getting that to light the turbos up. We have dump valves on it, but the nitrous does like 10 times what that thing does. I wish I would have spent $1,000 on dump valves. I'd have just put nitrous on it. So Nitrous Express, and they're super cool to work with. Yeah, and then who am I forgetting? No, I'm waiting for that one. I'm trying to do it in chronological order. Trying to Limpy's back there. Cash Days. What kind of stickers do I got? No, 660 Straight was cool. They got the biggest sticker. Richard over there. I mean, he doesn't have a sponsor, but like, and in Limpy too. Like whenever, like when he did like his interviews and things like that. Like when I win, like I really feel like he tries to help people. Like he doesn't just see the people that win. Like he tries to help people within his own channel. Like he invites people on his channel, and it helps them. It helps them, you know, get where they want to be in the racing world. And in like, you know, 660 Street Richard, like just sharing things. Like if Limpy shares something of mine, it was like, oh, I got 1,000 views, and it's like 15,000 overnight. And you're like, thank you, Limpy. Like, so like just little things like that people may not even know, like how much they help. And then last but not least, Brandon Dollar with Low Dollar Motorsports. I just recently met him in California, and I was having trouble with some sensors. It wasn't even the sensors, it was my setup. I was having trouble with the tune and the PID tuning. And so he just like went to his trailer, grabbed some sensors, and like, hey, put this sensor, like it was a better dome pressure sensor. We put the better dome pressure sensor in that, cleaned that up. And then we put, I had to jack the fuel pressure up because I was out of fuel injector. So he's like, here, just take this. And we went like a bigger fuel pressure sensor, and just like, kind of like, he was like, I didn't have anyone really helping me in Vegas. I mean, like I had my team like helping me, because it was kind of all for one, or not Vegas, California.
Yeah.
So it's the desert. And so like, man, like he really helped me a lot. And then, and just like bouncing ideas off of things like that. And, you know, he gave me a few sensors just to help out. He's like, dude, I love what you're doing here. I mean, because you'll see when the episode comes out, like this thing is like a minnow in a pond of sharks or whatever, ocean of sharks. and it was performing like a shark, I guess. At least in testing. So no, he helped me there, and then like I really wanted to go to PRI, and I scrambled so hard to get ready for California, and it was just crazy living out in the desert trying to survive. No, I was really sick in the desert too. It sucked. So, but no, I was like, I didn't even think it was possible. Like I made it, and then like a day before I called him, and I was like, man, I want to go, or I texted him, like I'd really love to go, and but it's not possible. Yeah. And so he basically got me there, got me in, and like introduced me to a ton of people, which I hope, crossing my fingers, Billet Specialties. I've been talking to them. And that was so funny because Bobby Dakota introduced me, and he's like, this motherfucker, and blank, 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 can't talk about it. And so the guy, Glenn was like, so do you run like screws in your tires to mess with people? Like you're not fast? And I'm like, no. I thought they were racing wheels. No, I was like, I don't have $2,000 for wheels. Like,
it's that simple.
Like, I buy a turbo or I buy this. It's the turbo. So, but like they legit thought like I was like trying to act like I was like, no, it's legit. I'm poor. Not poor, but the race car makes you that way. So if you want to get rich, don't buy a race car. But yeah, no, he helped me out a lot, and like I have some ideas and stuff for how to use his sensors and things like that are top secret. So
for now,
and that's why. Oh yeah, he gave me a shirt and a hat.
Hell yeah.
No,
you're all merged
no,
out,
super
dude.
cool dude, and like man, yeah, because like a lot of I think as a whole, it's very different. Like the street and the track and things like that. Like there's as far as like the community, like. There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and I feel like the genuine people that really really want to help. Sometimes we're discouraged when someone does something unethical or whatever else, and so we get discouraged, and then you meet someone that's like truly genuine, like wants to help you, and I think that's pretty cool. And so that was meeting him, it was like that, and just wanted to help out with the program, like not needing anything in return, like, and I don't think that's a little bit hard to find these days, I think. Yeah. So getting all sentimental and shit. But no, and that's like the relationship with BTR and so the other things, like they're not just like, these are like my friends, you know what I mean? It's not like they're like, oh well, you do this for me and you do that. Like it's so far the relationships I've formed are not based on that. Yeah. And but anyway, yep.
And those are your sponsors?
Those are my sponsors. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. There's a few people that have helped out, but I'm not sure they want to be mentioned. Okay. Like tremendously. So won't mention them, but yeah. Thank you all for watching. C'est la lava.
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
That's it.